in a city of ancient Persia, Cosm was drowning in gold, and Ali Baba in the simplicity of the forest. Two brothers, two separate worlds, until the sound of 40 horse hooves shattered the peace of both at once. Well, let's get to the main story. Qasim, with his keen intelligence and insatiable greed, had become a wealthy merchant. He lived in a lavish house with servants and looked at his poor brother with contempt. In contrast, Ali Baba was a simple and kind-hearted man who owned only a donkey and earned his living by cutting firewood in the forest. Cosm could never get along with his brother. His gaze towards him was always heavy and resentful. Sometimes he didn't even have a specific reason for this animosity. A blind jealousy had taken root in his being without him even understanding why. One day, Ali Baba went to the forest as usual. The air was pleasant and the scent of pine filled the space. Suddenly, from a distance, he heard the sound of horses' hooves. The sounds of the hooves grew closer and closer, and in complete fear and caution, Ali Baba hid his donkey behind some bushes and quickly climbed the trunk of an old, leafy tree, concealing himself among its branches. Fear had taken hold in his heart, but his curiosity was greater than his fear. 40 horsemen with burly bodies and harsh faces arrived and stopped before a massive, smooth rock. Their leader, a man with a black beard and a fearsome face, dismounted from his horse and shouted with a voice that echoed through the forest, "Open sesame!" What Ali Baba saw up close was unbelievable. At that very moment, as if the rock had a soul, it slowly opened with a tremendous roar, revealing the entrance to a dark cave. After a while, the thieves came out of the cave and quickly rode away. Ali Baba, who had now heard the secret phrase to open and close the hidden door, climbed down from the tree. Ali Baba, whose heart was pounding with excitement, went towards the rock. He placed his hand on the rock and whispered with a trembling voice, "Open sesame." Then the hidden cave door opened. What he saw was something he could not have imagined. The cave was full of gold coins, silver ingots, sparkling jewels, silk fabrics, and chests overflowing with rubies and emeralds. Ali Baba, not out of greed, but with gratitude, only filled a few small bags with gold coins, and he quickly exited the cave and returned home. His wife was speechless with shock upon seeing the gold. Then, to weigh the gold, they borrowed a scale from Qasim's wife, but she, out of curiosity, had covered the bottom of the scale with a piece of sticky wax. When Qasim's wife took the scale back, a piece of gold had stuck to it. This small discovery ignited Qasim's thirst for wealth. He rushed to Ali Baba's house and, with threats, demanded to know the secret. Ali Baba, with complete simplicity, told him the secret of the cave and the magic words. Qasim, with a heart overflowing with greed, hired 10 donkeys and set out for the cave. He entered the cave and, amidst the glittering treasures, went mad with joy. Qasim began to fill his bags, but in his excitement, he forgot the magic words. He shouted in panic, "Open raisin," or "Open wheat," but the rock remained motionless. At that very moment, the hidden cave door opened. The leader of the thieves entered the cave with his sword drawn, and while his eyes were burning with rage, he killed Qasim on the spot. Ali Baba, who was worried about his brother's delay, went to the cave with his donkey and was met with the heartbreaking sight of his brother's body. With the help of his clever and loyal slave girl, Marjana, he managed to take his brother's body out of the cave. To prevent people's suspicion, Marjana, with a clever plan, paid a poor cobbler to take the body to a house far from the neighborhood. And in the end, they held a normal ceremony without any suspicion. And in the end, they held a normal funeral without arousing any suspicion. But the leader of the thieves, realizing that the body was missing, sent a spy to the city. The spy, with the help of the shoemaker, found Ali Baba's house and marked the door with a piece of chalk. With complete alertness, Morgana watched this scene from the window. And to deceive the thieves, she put a similar mark on the doors of all the houses in the neighborhood. The thieves, who returned to the city the next day, were confused by the marks on all the doors and could not find Ali Baba's house. The leader of the thieves devised a more wicked plan. He hid a few of his men in large oil jars and filled one of the jars with real oil. Now that he had Ali Baba's exact address, he went to Ali Baba's house disguised as an oil merchant and requested lodging. Ali Baba welcomed him and he placed the jars in the courtyard. But in the middle of the night, Marjana, who had gone to the courtyard to get some oil, heard noises from the jars. Now aware of the conspiracy, she went to inform Ali Baba before they could carry out their sinister plan. Then a plan came to her mind. She took the main jar, which was full of oil, and heated it. Then, with Ali Baba's help, she poured the boiling oil one by one into the jars where the thieves were hiding. The thieves, suddenly taken by surprise, couldn't bear the intense burning and fear and were forced to jump out of the jars and flee. The leader of the thieves fled upon hearing the cries of his men. But he was extremely angry and now had vengeance on his mind. A while later, at one of the city's large parties, where everyone was welcome, the leader of the thieves returned, this time disguised as another merchant, to take revenge on Ali Baba at a dinner party. Marjana, who had once again cleverly noticed the presence of the thieves' leader at the party, hid a knife under her clothes. To be able to help Ali Baba at the right moment, she continued dancing tirelessly near him. The leader of the thieves, who had no idea that Marjana was aware of his sinister plan and had a knife hidden under her clothes, rushed toward Ali Baba to take his life with his sword. But Marjana, at the right moment and when Ali Baba's life was threatened, took out her knife and inflicted a deep wound on the chest of the thieves' leader, killing him and saving Ali Baba's family forever. The story of Ali Baba is more than treasure and thieves. It reflects the heart of humanity. Qasim's greed led him astray, but Ali Baba's pure heart and Marjana's wisdom brought light in the darkest moments. The greatest treasure is not gold, but a good heart, courage, and the wisdom to act with humanity.